Hey everyone, and welcome back to Milan Soccer Club, your go-to podcast for everything Rossoneri. I'm Alice.
And I'm Paul. Today, we're diving headfirst into the rapidly approaching Lecce versus Milan match. It's a crucial one, folks. Kickoff is just hours away, 6 p.m. Italy time, and honestly, it feels like the team's season hangs in the balance.
Absolutely, Paul. I mean, after those 3 consecutive losses against Torino, Bologna, and Lazio, things are looking pretty dire. And what I want to know is, can Milan actually turn things around, or are we heading for a complete disaster?
Well, Alice, buckle up, because we're about to unpack a whole lot of drama. We're talking potential coach sackings, lineup chaos, and some seriously concerning stats that might just shock you. According to reports, Sergio Conceição is feeling the heat. There are even rumors that Mauro Tassati is ready to step in as a replacement if Milan loses to Lecce. Can you believe it?
Ouch! That's intense. So losing this match could literally cost Conceição his job? This game is more than just 3 points, right?
Exactly. Plus, it seems like even Conceição himself isn't sure what his best lineup even is. We've apparently seen like 4 different potential formations floated in just 2 days. This is, according to reports, is a major sign of the terrible confusion at the club right now.
4 formations? In 2 days? That's insane. So it's not just the losing streak, it's the complete lack of a clear plan. Okay, so walk me through what we know. What are the potential lineup changes we might see?
All right, get ready for this. Theo Hernandez and Fofana are likely being benched, and it sounds like huge players such as Leao, Joao Felix, and Gimenez are also at risk of starting on the bench. But here's where it gets interesting. We might see unexpected starts for guys like Bartasaghi, Bondo, Sotil, and Abraham.
Wow, that is a shakeup. I mean, benching Leao, that's a bold move. What's the thinking behind all this? Are they trying to light a fire under these players, or is it a genuine tactical shift?
Well, according to sources, Conceição is looking for a spark. He wants to shake things up and force a reaction from the team. But listen to this, Alice. The stats show that Milan and Lecce actually have surprisingly similar performance metrics. I mean, it's a dramatic eye-opener on just how bad Milan is today, that Lecce is comparable.
Wait, what? Similar to Lecce? So you're saying that statistically, Milan is performing at the same level as a team they should be dominating? That's concerning, to say the least. Let's dig into that in more detail soon. But first, remind everyone what's at stake in this match.
Okay, so Champions League qualification is looking increasingly difficult. The gap is already at 11 points. This match is about saving what's left of the season. It's about stopping the losing streak and regaining some confidence. They must win. Simple as that.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. First up, Conceição's job on the line. Paul, lay it on us. What's the real situation here?
Okay, so according to multiple reports, the situation is pretty precarious for Conceição. After 3 consecutive losses, the pressure is mounting. The club desperately wants to avoid another managerial change mid-season, especially with how things have been going. But another loss could force their hand. I mean, they might see it as the only way to salvage something from this season, you know?
So it's not just about this one game. It's about the overall trajectory, right? Are they seeing any signs of improvement, or is it just a downward spiral? And is Tassati really the answer? I mean, he's a club legend, but is he the right person to steady the ship in the middle of a crisis?
That's the million-dollar question, Alice. Tassati, as far as I know, is currently with Milan Futuro, under Massimo Oddo. He knows the club inside and out. The idea would be for him to kind of, guide the team until the end of the season and then see what happens in the summer. It's a short-term solution, a sort of break glass in case of emergency scenario.
Okay, that makes sense. A familiar face to calm things down. But what does this say about the club's long-term planning? Does it feel reactive rather than proactive?
Absolutely. It screams of desperation, to be honest. It suggests a lack of confidence in the current leadership and a real uncertainty about the future. It's like they're hoping a familiar face can magically fix deep-rooted problems, you know?
Yeah, okay, so that's the coaching situation. But let's talk about this lineup chaos. 4 different formations in 2 days. What is going on there?
Right? It's mind-boggling. I mean, it points to a complete lack of clarity and direction. It suggests that Conceição is desperately searching for answers, throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. Players must be completely confused about their roles and responsibilities.
But does it also speak about a problem with communication inside the locker room?
Definitely, Alice. It's hard to imagine how a coach can ask for 100% commitment if the players don't understand what they need to do. It's a vicious cycle of desperation, confusion, and a lack of confidence.
Okay, so let's break down some of these potential changes. What's the logic behind potentially benching Theo Hernandez and Leao? I mean, those are two of our biggest stars.
Right. According to sources, Theo and Fofana are likely being rested. Maybe Conceição thinks they need a break, or perhaps he's not happy with their recent performances. As for Leao, João Felix, and Jimenez, it's harder to say. Maybe he wants to send a message about work rate or tactical discipline. It's a huge risk, though.
A huge risk indeed. Leao can change a game in an instant. And what about the potential replacements? Bartasagi, Bondo, Sutil, and Abraham. Are these guys ready for the spotlight? I mean, are they ready for a key match in such delicate moment?
That's the big question. Bartasagi is a young defender who could bring some fresh energy to the left side. Bondo, another youngster, would be making his debut. Sutil and Abraham could offer a different dimension in attack. They're all talented, but they lack experience. It's a gamble, for sure.
Okay, let's talk tactics. If Leao doesn't start, how does that change Milan's approach? I mean, he's such a key part of their attacking play.
Well, according to my sources, the wing play might be less about individual dribbling magic, since, there won't be Leao initially. I mean, it could become more about creating space for overlapping fullbacks and delivering crosses for Gimenez or Abraham. Think of it like a more direct, less individualistic approach.
Okay, so more emphasis on getting the ball wide and crossing it in. Does that suit Abraham or Gimenez better than Leao's style of cutting inside and shooting?
Potentially, yes. Abraham and Gimenez are both good in the air and have good movement in the box. They're more traditional center forwards than Leao. So, a different crossing strategy might be more effective. I mean, you'd want to get the ball into those dangerous areas where they can attack it.
Okay, that makes sense. What if Leao does start? How do you see the attack functioning then, especially with Gimenez or Abraham up front?
If Leao starts, I think him and Gimenez Abraham could form a very dynamic attacking partnership, combining pace, dribbling, and varied movement. Leao can draw defenders out of position, creating space for the striker to exploit. It could be a really exciting combination if they can get it right.
Yeah, the possibilities are intriguing. This midfield is so new and unproven, right? Is there any way to anticipate how they will do?
I mean, not really, Alice. It's really hard to know how will they perform. Bondo is on his debut, Sutil is not really a starter, Pulisic is probably the most reliable name in that midfield right now. However, that could be a great surprise and work really well.
Yeah, what about Lecce's lineup? What are they likely to bring to the table?
Well, according to the probable lineup I saw, Lecce is likely to go with a 4-3-3 formation. Falcone in goal, a defense of Gilbert, Bacharato, Jean, and Gallo. In midfield, we're likely to see Koulibaly, Pierre, and Helgesson. And up front, Pirotti, Kristovic, and Morente.
Okay, so a fairly standard setup for them. Any particular players we should be worried about?
Kristovic is their main threat up front. He's a decent finisher. Koulibaly is a solid midfielder who can break up play, and Bacharato is a tough defender. But honestly, if Milan is playing at their best, they should be able to handle Lecce.
Okay, so let's get to those stats. You mentioned that Milan and Lecce's performance metrics are surprisingly similar. I mean, how similar are we talking? Because that sounds like a massive red flag!
This is where it gets really worrying, Alice. Let's look at some key numbers. Milan averages 1.6 goals scored per match, which is okay, but not amazing for a top team. Lecce? They're struggling with only 0.8 goals per match. That's a massive difference. They are struggling to score.
Okay, so Milan should be scoring more. But what about expected goals? Does that tell a different story?
Milan's expected goals, XG per match, is 1.41, while Lecce's is 0.83. So Milan should be scoring more than Lecce, and their actual goal output is pretty close to what's expected. For Lecce, their actual goals scored are very close to their XG, which means they're converting chances at the rate you'd expect for a team with their offensive limitations. The problem is they are generating very few chances.
Okay, so Milan is creating more chances, but not necessarily converting them at a significantly higher rate. What about defensively? Is that where the big difference lies?
Well, Milan concedes 1.0 goals per match, while Lecce concedes 1.4. So Milan's defense is slightly better, but not by a huge margin. Milan are aiming for defensive stability, something that's been missing this year, while Lecce's defense is more porous.
Okay, so slightly better defensively. What about expected goals against XGA? Does that paint a clearer picture?
Milan's XGA is lower at 1.12 compared to Lecce's 1.49. This reinforces the idea that Milan's defense is statistically better and allows fewer quality chances to the opposition. Lecce's XGA is very similar to their actual goals conceded, which again suggests they're performing defensively as expected, which isn't great.
Right. So Milan is giving up fewer good chances, but still conceding a similar number of goals. What about clean sheets? Who's keeping the opposition out more often?
Milan keeps clean sheets in 33.3% of matches, while Lecce only manages this in 25.9% of the matches. Milan's higher clean sheet percentage is another indicator of their slightly superior defensive organization and individual quality.
Okay. So across the board, Milan is slightly better, but the margins are incredibly thin. And that's the shocking part, right? That's why it's a dramatic eye-opener on how bad Milan is today.
Exactly. We're talking about Milan, a team with aspirations of Champions League qualification, performing at a statistically similar level to Lecce, a team battling to stay in the league. It's unacceptable.
It really is. It highlights just how far they've fallen below expectations. Okay, let's quickly touch on player availability. Who's missing for Milan?
Maignan and Pavlovic are suspended for this match. That's a blow, especially Maignan in goal. And Musa is at risk of suspension for the next match if he picks up another yellow card.
Okay, so some key players missing. That definitely adds to the challenge. Paul, looking at everything, what's your prediction for this match? Can Milan pull it together and get the win they desperately need?
Honestly, Alice, I'm nervous. The stats are concerning, the lineup is uncertain, and the pressure is immense. But Milan has the quality to win this game. They just need to find some confidence and play with some passion. It's all on the coach and whether the players can step up to the occasion. I'm going to be optimistic and say they win 2-1, but it won't be easy. What do you think?
I wish I shared your optimism, Paul. I'm sitting on the fence on this one. I think it will be a draw, 1-1. This team have been too disoriented to get a victory out of nowhere. This will probably lead to Conchicau's dismissal. A sad ending to a situation where a great coach was managing a totally broken club. So to everyone listening, let's see in a few hours what's going to happen in this crucial Lecce-Milan game. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Milan Soccer Club. Paul, thanks for breaking down all the chaos with us.
Always a pleasure, Alice. And to all the listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe. What's your prediction for the match? Let us know in the comments.